So I did get a, well, let's go for it. Let's talk the whole story about my Switch 2 adventure. So I ended up making a decision to go to GameStop early. They opened up at 3 and was quite the interesting experience to try to go there early, because I did get there a little bit early, but the line was already around back. So I decided to stay and give it my best shot to see if I could actually manage and get this pre-order. So for those that don't know, GameStop opened up at 3 p.m. for their pre-orders, and at midnight you can come back and like lock it up. They had a couple more stock and then instead of what they had online. So and then also on top of their pre-orders. So they had just a little bit left. Fortunately it did not get punctured. But I did end up getting finally around, and I got there at 2:30ish, I think. I got the information that for whatever reason, at 4:30, I've been in line at 2 hours already, that they decided to finally give an estimate of where they were, keep in mind this opened at 3. They finally gave an estimate of where they think the line is going to be cut off. They guessed really close to where I was in line. So close! So insanely close. And in fact, they said a margin of error of 2 or 3. I was in the margin of 2 or 3, which is like, no! That sucks so bad. Hi, Crow. Hi, Kaylee. You're going to go shower. Much love. Yes. Dad, you need some chill time. 100% understand. So I finally got told at 4:30. I was in the margin error. I was on the margin side of the 2 or 3. So I decide, I already was in there for 2 hours. It can't be that much longer. I was mistaken. At 5:30, keep in mind 2:30 p.m. is when this line I got in, and I was already around back. I was finally told a new count. This count, they guessed, I don't know exact numbers off the top of my head anymore, but they guessed 23. I was number 22 in that line. And I was like, wow, that was so close. I was literally 1 or 2 away. But, and you may notice, very importantly, they said that they only had an estimate at the time. So, at 6 o'clock, finally he comes around with definitive numbers. And you see him counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He gets to 11, and it's the person in front of me, and he stops counting. He only had 11 left. So after waiting a stupid amount of time in that line, I did not get it. Unfortunately, I had to give up and I walked away. He did say that I could have gone to the Mall of America, where I had an option. I already drove a decent length to get to this one, but I could drive into Mall of America where they supposedly had 300. I was defeated and crushed and tired, and my back was really sore from standing for about over 4 hours, just under, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I came home, and then we watched Sonic 3. Great movie. Weird. Jim Carrey's a gem, honestly. But we eventually decide, and well, at least I decided. It was mostly all on me for the Switch 2. That I did a little bit of research. And I found out Walmart was having another online drop at 11. Hi, Legend. Hello. Stickers exist. I would really think stickers. I don't think also stapling onto a actual box that people want to keep makes any sense. I don't understand that stapling incident. It's so dumb. I'm just talking about how my Switch 2 adventures went. And then we're going to go watch Summer Game Fest. And then we're going to go play Doom eventually after that. But hi, Legend. So, I find out that they're going to drop at 11 p.m. for another drop of Walmart. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep my eyes on it. I locked in, and fortunately, I stay awake that long. I was exhausted already by the end of the day, but I did get to 11 p.m., no problem, and nothing shows up anywhere. I look everywhere I could, and there is not a single solitary drop of it anywhere. I couldn't find the bundle, and I did end up finding eventually, the non-Mario Kart bundle. But there wasn't any option to check out. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe they didn't actually drop anything. Because they were maybe just implying that it was just only in stores. But it did say online, but I didn't have any luck. So, 20 minutes later, I get a notification on my phone. I follow a tracker because I really like Pokemon cards, and you kind of have to follow a tracker these days if you want any live drops. So that drop notification actually sent me the fact that Walmart did go live with the bundle at 11:20. I had stopped paying attention to my phone. I was just kind of just winding down for the night. I was like, I give up. And it was, by the time I saw it, 11:37. I was like, oh, I could try. And so I did. And I queued up. And I stayed in the queue. And at midnight, it drops me from the queue. And I failed for the day. However, I neglected to say the important detail. I ended up deciding to give a little bit of research also earlier. That Target was doing in-store drops. And only in store, not online. You couldn't pre-order, and they didn't have a pre-order because the pre-order was only through online. So I knew that according to the website that this store, the actual event started at 8 a.m. I was like, oh, I'm screwed. But I was exhausted, but I could do it. Well, I knew this store opened up even earlier at 7 a.m. So I got up at 6 o'clock. Granted, I am a night sleeper. Or I stay sleeping, usually longer. I get up at 6, so this was challenging for me. And I get my ass over to that Target. And I do manage to get in line, and they immediately give me a ticket. Well, immediately. 5 minutes into the line, I get a ticket. Because they only just started handing out tickets. And I secure a Switch 2 after getting in the store. Not too much longer, honestly, after that. I get in, we get our stuff, and we finally get our Switch 2. I don't know why GameStop didn't do a ticketing system. The employee decidedly said that it was a corporate decision and not corporate and not his store or his policy to do a ticketing system. But I was in that line for a annoying amount of time, and it sucked. It was awful. But I did get my Switch 2, so eventually we'll have to do some new Mario Kart. Eventually. It is retail boxing, yeah, well, because like how the Switch 2s, they obviously came in with a bunch of boxes. So in reality, you're not wrong, Hannah, at the same time. I don't think they should have probably had the main part of the system on the surface very easily. But yeah, it was upsetting. Thank you for the water, by the way, legend. But yeah, that's the end of my story. Hope you enjoyed it. That was my Switch 2 adventures, and I got it. It was an adventure, and I am annoyed at GameStop. But hey, shout out to Target.